Welcome to Fail Forward Friday, everyone. This is Malesela and by the way.
And Roche Mamabulo.
Yes, and this is a weekly podcast that we do where we showcase two stories. Doc has a story, I have a story. We talk about business people or businesses that have failed, some that have failed forward, and others that have failed and went bust.
And today is the season finale.
Yes, it is our season finale for the year, and it's been amazing. Today's going to be a bit different. Doc will take us through exactly how it's going to be different, but it's just it's been a good journey, Doc. First 11 episodes, 12.
So this is our 11th one. So we have done 10 episodes so far.
No, we've done 11 episodes.
Have we?
Yes, and then this is our 12th one.
Okay, right. My maths is not smithing. That's fine. So this is the final for the year,
yes.
And it's been quite an amazing journey. So how this will work? Because usually you bring a story, I bring a story, and in between we do a whole discussion.
Yes.
Right. So what we have then decided to do is to do a whole recap.
Yeah.
From the first episode till the 11th episode.
Yes.
and just let's look at what are the lessons or the trends that we have picked up. I've certainly learned quite a lot.
I also have.
And let's sort of get a sense of what are the commonalities and what should entrepreneurs out there be aware of.
Yes, definitely.
Right? And avoid doing and do more certain things and avoid doing certain things.
Yes.
Right. So I'll do a recap. Right?
Okay.
You threw me off a bit with
I'll tell you exactly which one it is.
Okay. So the first episode we did was about 2 months ago, first week of September. I think the episode aired on the 6th of September.
Mm.
So you spoke about William Shockley.
Yes.
And I spoke about Warren Buffett.
Mm.
And in that episode, what came out mostly was the fact, an ego type of a leader who because of their ego, they could not work with the team very well and ended up having to be kicked out.
Yes.
Right? And then Warren Buffett's story was, the Berkshire Hathaway story when he bought it. Right at the outset, when he bought Berkshire Hathaway, and it was a textiles business.
Yes.
And China happened, and the textiles industry was then offshored to China.
Yes.
And Berkshire Hathaway, was a shell.
Yes.
And then he decided, okay, let me
build something out of it.
Reconfigure it into an investment company. But the lesson there also was understanding the market and changes in the market. Right?
Yes.
And then
maybe before you go on, Doc, I like what you're saying. In hindsight, it's so cool how that first episode, and I don't know if we saw it back then, but these are two different leaders. And what happened to Shockley and what happened to Warren are contrasting, because one actually became a team player and it showed with Berkshire Hathaway, and the other still was the same person with pride and ended up going bust, basically.
It's as if there's no formula, right?
Yes.
So you might be a good guy, a team player, but you get the market wrong.
Yes.
Or sometimes you don't even get the market wrong. Sometimes the market just shifts and it catches everyone by surprise.
Yep.
I don't know if many people could have predicted that China would, be the manufacturing hub of the world, and everybody will just, get their stuff. I don't know how predictable that was. Maybe at the time, because I think it was before my age, but at the time probably it was predictable. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Warren Buffett is an amazing leader, integrity.
Yes.
he's smart. He's got a huge, great sense of humor. For a billionaire, I always find these billionaires to be the serious guys. They don't laugh. But Warren has got this sense of humor, right?
Yes.
But beneath that, there's this integrity and smartness about him. But he got it wrong.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
And I think subsequent to the Berkshire Hathaway thing, that's when he met Charlie Munger.
Yes.
And then they changed the investment strategy.
Yeah.
Because initially it was cigarette butt businesses. Cigarette butt, just that last puff.
Yes.
So he buys those ones where there's a last puff and he buys, and he strings that puff out of that,
yes.
And then when Charlie Munger came in, he says, no, you don't want to buy a cigarette butt business.
Yeah.
You want to buy a good business at a fair value.
Yes.
Right. So let's not look for businesses that are going under at a cheap price. Let's pay for a good business at a fair value.
Yes.
And that's when he changed the whole thing. And
I know that they also had like a formula around how they calculate that as well.
Yes. So yeah.
Two contrasting stories, both failed, but the one actually shows how integrity still makes you can still continue after that.
And you can actually say Buffett failed for what?
Yes. And Shockley didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the second one we spoke about was Nokia, and I spoke about Nicholson as well. Nicholson, obviously, ego again. And it sounds to me like the theme that comes out is ego drives people to fail and not be able to fail forward.
Yeah.
Right? It's as if your ego drives you to the cliff and you can't get beyond that. And you did the Nokia.
Yes. And how innovation, stopping to innovate, thinking that you're the biggest shot in the world, having the whole phone market can lead to your downfall, because that's exactly what happened.
Yep. So that was episode 2. Episode 3, I did Zola Mahobe, the Mamelodi Sundowns story, and you did Starter Phones.
Yes.
Here the difference is ego again. Here's this guy. Maybe not probably ego, but also greed.
Yes.
Right? Greed, the fact that he stole money and lived this extravagant life, and he took Mamelodi Sundowns, the whole team, wives and girlfriends and everybody to London to watch the FA Cup final. And actually it turned out that when they came back, Standard Bank uncovered the whole thing.
And someone snitched.
And someone snitched, and the whole thing just fell apart. But it was also just looking at how greed, it's always, sometimes people who are greedy, they start off by saying, I'll just do it once, I won't get caught, and I won't do it again. Right? So it's always, I'll just do it this once, and no one sees. When I was doing articles, one of the things that you do, you would audit clients, and one of the most thing that would be appropriated or stolen was petty cash. So it's the 22nd and payday is the 25th.
Yes.
And, the finance officer doesn't have money for petrol. And they take from the petty cash, because no one checks.
Yeah.
They take from the petty cash with the intention that come the 25th, I'll replace the money no one sees.
Yeah.
Right? So most of the stories, they start like that. I'll just do it once, no one will see, and I'll replace it before everyone sees.
Yes.
But the thing with just this once is it's always not just this once.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Because it was so nice the first time you did it, and no one caught you.
And no one caught you.
Yes.
And I think that's the thing. No one catches you. And then you think, I can do it again, and no one will catch me.
Yes.
And, it starts like a drop, and the next thing is an ocean. Because you can't stop. You keep on doing it until something happens and someone snitches or someone picks it up. Or in the case of Nicholson, there's an earthquake in another country and people are trying to disinvest, and they realize, actually, this account where we think there's money, there's no money.
That's true.
It's just transactions, journal entries passed into that account.
Yes.
Yes. So justice once is not always justice once.
Yeah.
And then the fourth episode, we did James Dyson and Mix It.
Yes.
Right? And you told me your Mix It name. What was the Mix It?
What did I say? Something 63. Right? It was not Casanova. Don't worry.
It does not.
No, it wasn't Casanova.
You never know. Anyway, so yeah, I can't remember James Dyson. Oh yes,
Yes, the car. Yes,
electric
the car.
and obviously innovations that went wrong.
Yes.
Uh,
Didn't necessarily count the cost
yeah,
of what it would actually take.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think the question that always comes is obviously when you innovate, you need to know where your boundaries are.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to say if we hit 300,000 or 3 million or whatever,
Without
we
this,
stop.
then
Yeah,
we
without
stop.
the results,
Yes.
we stop. But you know, entrepreneurs, innovators, always being optimistic.
Yeah.
You get to 300 million, it's like we are almost there, and then you pump more money, and then when you're supposed to say we're almost there, and then you pump more money.
You know what? It almost and it's, I guess it's very tricky because I think of how there's certain companies that got away with it.
Yeah.
SpaceX being one, where on the last launch they got it right, and if that last launch didn't go well, there would not be a SpaceX today.
Yeah.
So it's kind of tricky, I guess.
It's not easy to draw the line. It's not easy to draw the line. So one of the things Seth Godin likes saying when people ask him, I've been trying this thing, should I give up or should I go on?
Yeah.
Right? And he always says there's two options. So you need to be asking yourself two questions. One is it a question that if you persist, the answer or the solution will come? Or is it a question of irrespective of what you do, this thing is not going to work?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So is it a function of it's impossible or is it a function of you just need to persevere?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's
it's a hard problem, or it's a problem. It's not even a problem because there's no solution.
Yes. So I think it's like your pivot to persevere.
Yes.
Right? You pivot or you persevere.
Yeah.
And the question that you need to be asking yourself in answering do you pivot or you persevere is it a function of time? Is it a function of if I keep on persevering, this thing will work?
Yeah.
And if the answer to it's a function of time, if I keep on doing this, it will work.
Yes.
Then you persevere.
Yes.
But if the answer is no matter how much time I put into this thing, this thing's not going to work.
Yeah.
You pivot. Right? And I think it was difficult for James Dyson to say, do we persevere or do we pivot?
That's true. That's because I think, especially because for them, and understandably so, it looked like a problem from it looked like a time problem. Yeah. The reason I'm saying that is there are other car companies. They hired people that were from car companies, and yet, and funny enough, and I didn't add it in the story, but I finished the James Dyson book actually. And one of the bigger reasons that they, obviously, when I was doing other research, it wasn't in there, but he talks about how one of the big reasons that they were not able to continue is that they, unlike the USA, they helped, there were a lot of grants that helped your Teslas and your Nikola and all of these guys, Carcam, Rivian, they helped them, there was incentives to it. In England, there wasn't necessarily a lot of incentives, and it was there was quite a lot of political movement as well to get the incentives in America, but in England, they wouldn't have won, kind of thing.
So it then comes back to one of the episodes that we did about where innovation happens and where it's at the intersection of different cultures, personalities combined. And in that episode, I forgot to mention Elon Musk, who's from South Africa, who went there. But also the fact that it's a cosmopolitan intersection of different backgrounds.
Yes.
But there's also support, government support. I mean, if you look at the internet, if you look at a lot of innovations, the internet, computers, it's a function of government, the US government pumping money into those. The NASA, for instance, the space shuttle, for instance, those are functions of the US government being willing to pump money into this type of innovations.
That's true.
And taking the risk. I mean, with the SpaceX, also, it's a risk that the U.S. government did to grant Musk, to give Musk the grants that they've given. So yeah, So that was number 4. Number 5, we did LeisureNet, Health and Racket, and Norwegian Air Shuttle.
Yes.
All right, and there it was greed as well from the Health and Racket executives.
Yes.
And using business money for personal, living this lavish lifestyle. And then the Norwegian Air Shuttle, it's a strategy gone wrong.
Strategy gone wrong.
Yeah.
Didn't necessarily count the cost of
Yeah.
what it actually meant.
Yeah.
Couldn't have, well, not necessarily couldn't have seen it. If they did more research, I bet you they would have seen
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And then number 6, we did the Ant Group, Jack Ma,
Yes.
and Christopher Foster,
Yes.
the guy who just
Hey.
shot everybody, even pets. That guy is cruel. How do you shoot pets? What did pets do to you? Anyway,
There's
shot
evidence.
shot everybody because he could not see himself having failed and having lost his house and having going back to live with his mother. He just could not fathom that and decided, no, either that or I'm dead.
Yes. Yes.
And he decided to finish everything. What breaks my heart is he could have done that if he wanted to finish it all
Alone.
himself, alone. Why do you have to involve everyone else? You know? So yeah, for me that was a bit difficult one. And then the Jack Ma story, I'm still trying to pick up my bottom jaw from the floor because of because of what Jack Ma said. I mean, like that guy.
The balls they had. I'm
They
sorry,
tell the
but-
Chinese government that they're
Yeah.
running the financial system like a pawn shop.
pawn shop.
Oh my word. Oh my word.
Yeah, I
But
can't.
you know,
Sorry, Doug. Before you know how crazy it is. It's like saying, and Chinese government maybe it is ruthless, but in hiding. Imagine saying that to Putin.
no, with Putin, you disappear forever.
Yeah, you don't come back.
No. No.
But anyway, yes,
Who's that guy? The military guy,
yes,
Bugazin or something.
yes. He's second. You're second in charge, kind of thing. Under yes,
Tried to stage a coup.
Ish?
And yeah. Yeah. So anyway.
yeah,
Number 7, Mashiosi's son and my favorite, Vince McMahon.
yes,
Interesting different personalities. One is an introvert, the other one is an extrovert, the other one comes from eccentric and, loud and, But, with what's interesting is he says he's an introvert, Vince McMahon. But I guess because he's in the showbiz, he has to
yes. We act the part.
act the part, yeah.
True, true. I guess.
Different personalities, Masayoshi's son's investment style. I think he stopped. When you think about Warren Buffett and Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger's investment philosophy and how they calculate the numbers, fair value, or how the type of businesses that they decide to invest in. And Warren Buffett always says, I stay within my circle of competence.
Yes.
Right? So my circle of competence basically says, within this circle, I know what happens.
Yes,
I have a good grasp of the business model and how they make money. Outside the circle, I can't explain it even to my mother or to a 5-year-old. So anything outside the circle of competence, he stays away from. He stayed away from the Y2K boom or bust rather, and because he could not understand how these internet businesses are making money.
Yes.
So he never invested in them. He stayed away from cryptocurrency because he doesn't understand the fundamentals of how you make money. How does this thing work?
Yeah.
Right. So he doesn't really, and then he stayed away from that. Mashiosi's son, on the other hand, it started as it's tech businesses, but there was no. It sounded like it's tech businesses, and they need to be hyped.
Yes. It's what's that? There's a term that was used. A lot of entrepreneurs use, or a lot of consultants use it around how you become the biggest company quickly. and take over the
unicorn
market.
status, yeah.
You get unicorn. But I'm saying there's a certain term where you go in, you put thing, you hype, this company blows up within a few years, it's worth a couple of billions.
Yeah.
Let's say 10, 15 billion. You didn't then do an exit when you go out into the public market. And that's I forgot the name of it, but the whole term is they need to go in, pump as much money as you can to get valuation up, put it into the public market, pull out a bit by bit by bit while they're getting their profits.
Okay.
That's exactly what he's thinking in that sense is.
Okay. But I mean, Mashiosi's investment philosophy was a bit.
No, listen, it was guns blazing.
Yeah.
Whatever happened.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
And then, of course, Vince McMahon, a revelation for me is that the whole thing was just a story,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
It was not real.
Hey?
You know? Talk about being a slow learner. But anyway.
I know where you might have missed. Though.
Yeah.
So it is actually 11 episodes.
Yeah.
I mean, 10 episodes. Or 11. Yeah, it is 11, but 10. The reason is we actually did Vince and twice. You remember?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
That's why, you're right. And then we then did Tupperware.
Yes, as episode number 9.
As episode number 9.
Yes.
And then we did Drip.
Yes.
As well.
Where it dripped out of control.
Yeah, I think Drip miscalculated because I mean, the whole Drip story falls apart, or the trigger to the whole bankruptcy story of Drip is the billboards.
Yeah.
And you can't help but think that if it was not because of the billboards, there's a chance that it will still be there. But the billboards is what broke the camel's back.
Doug, the other day, I was actually talking to someone about this. Hey, Yazi, these stories are a lot. So I was talking to someone, and they mentioned how one of his other problems that he had was that he wasn't paying suppliers. And it just happens to be that the biggest supplier he owned was this marketing company.
Yeah.
With the billboards and everything else, which is 20 million. But it is apparent that this man's revenue was very high and he just wasn't paying suppliers. He wasn't paying, and the only people he was actually paying because he needed them was the malls. Because at the mall, if you don't pay, they close your doors. So it is apparent that in general, that man was just not paying suppliers and splurging. I don't even know. Apparently, he even had a Rolls Royce. Hey, these rumors. Now, I'm not saying he did.
Yeah.
But apparently, these were the things where his lifestyle actually took over, and that caused him not to pay these suppliers and certain things. And that led to obviously one thing or another, suing and bankruptcy.
And I think it's always going to be the issue with the lifestyle of a lot of entrepreneurs.
Yes.
You work so hard. You kind of want a soft life, as my 2000 would say.
Yes.
You want a soft life.
A butepu life.
Well, yes. So the fact that I'm not privy to his extravagant lifestyle. But yes, I've also heard those rumors as well. But I think what pulled, because as I was reading the thing, what pulled the trigger was the marketing campaign.
100%.
Right? And of course, then everybody else follows suit.
Yes.
But you can't then help but think that it's a sound business model.
Yeah.
It's, I'm not so sure. I mean, we have not had the opportunity to go deeper into, is it really sound? Like opening your own shop versus taking your product and putting it into
Take it out.
or
Yes.
Mr. Price or Sportsman
Dog,
Warehouse.
you know what, man?
Yeah. So for me, that model, I'm not so sure. Because then if say for instance, and to your point, say for instance, he didn't open the shops. He took his product and put it into Total Sport.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What then happens is he saves on the rental of the shops.
Yes.
Which I think it's substantial.
True.
Right?
It will be interesting to look at that.
You know? And that would probably save him couple of millions.
Now, Doc, here's another thing. It's funny how, and it's something I just thought about today. So I went to the mall today to go try get my phone fixed. And on the way to at that WeFix place, in Menlyn Mall, there's a HP shop, and I passed there and I saw HP selling cell phones. And I wait, HP doesn't have cell phones. And I saw Samsung, Apple, and I thought to myself, listen, I wonder if these guys are struggling.
Yeah.
Because they have all this space, and they have the tablets or the whatever HP products they have, but they probably not making enough money to sustain having all those products instead of saying incredible hi-fi corporation macro game sell our products. We'll open our own. Yeah, they open their own, and what happens? They have to pay rent. That rent is high, and it's a nice shop.
Salaries,
it's a nice shop. They salaries, insurance, all of those things.
What timelines?
All of those things are now in there. Now I thought to myself, how these guys are selling cell phones now? They must be going into they must be in trouble because there's not enough foot traffic.
I think it's an interesting thing that entrepreneurs should sort of look into. You have a clothing brand, for instance.
Yeah.
You want to grow it.
Yeah.
Do you open your own shop, or do you try and look at, is it YD, Young Designers in Program, where you put your product in there and you save on the rental?
Yes.
Right?
That's actually clever. But here's my question then. I mean, I think of Galaxy Boy, and they open their own shops, and they do, from what we see from outside. Yeah. I think the hype is there enough for they to open their own shops, but I wonder what the cost to open. It will be interesting to do such research, Doc, actually.
Yeah. And I think it needs to justify.
Yeah.
So here's why Apple, right? Apple decided, no, we are having our own stores. Because if you look at the supply chain of Apple basically controls the whole value chain.
Yes.
From manufacturing, design, to distribution, to retail.
Yes. Even, and manufacturing, actually. And maybe they buy their own material. Yeah. They buy titanium, for instance, in bulk. And then, I get you.
And even fixing, they try to keep their fix themselves, but I think it didn't work.
I saw a thing online, actually, yesterday on Apple and how, it's that news on Netflix.
Yeah.
The news, that new documentary on Netflix on how consumers are just buying many things or whatever.
Yeah.
And Apple, the one thing was that they tried to get people to still do it through them. In fact, to buy new products because they wouldn't allow anyone else to fix them. They changed the screws as well so that not everyone has the screw to open up an Apple product. And I'm like, these guys.
So let's double click. Let's double click on this. So do you get your product, open your own shop with your own product, or do you take your product and put it into other retail stores to avoid paying exorbitant rent? Now, the next double click is, because of COVID, there's a whole thing about online shopping. Do you even need to have a physical store, or people are now used to online shopping?
I think one thing we can't ever take away, Doc, is that human beings are social at nature. And social means there has to be a central area where social people meet. Online is not going to do this. I think of how that whole meta thing of the metaverse. And
no, that was never going to work.
It faded off.
That was never. The fact that you need to put anything that you put and it looks scary on you, not going to work. It needs to make you look cool. If it makes you look cool, it will work.
And I mean the
goggles and
the only thing that will make you look cool, Doc, that is wearable is the Apple Vision Pro. Some people might not agree because they're haters, but the Apple Vision Pro is the only thing anyone ever needs. That's all I'm gonna say.
if it makes you look scary, it's not gonna work.
Okay, so what I was getting to there, Doc, is that now online is good. Online is the future, but online will not it won't always, or it can't always be the future. It can't always be the main.
No, I'm not saying it should be the main, but I'm saying there's a move. And I'll tell you why I say that. If you look here, Menlyn May,
yeah,
right? I think I've seen a couple of shops. In fact, a couple of restaurants closed.
Yes,
I think there are a couple of shops that closed.
true.
If you go to Mainland, there are a couple of shops that closed. In
Yes.
fact, if you look at Foy's Mall, a lot of the shops closed. Forest Hill, it's a dead
Yeah,
mall.
that one is a dead. It's
It's a dead
almost
mall.
a white elephant there.
Yeah. So you kind of have this pull away from physical. Of course, the main brands will still be there. Of course, people are social, they want to meet. But you then want to ask yourself, do they want to meet because they're going to a particular shop? Is it a must that I go to a particular shop? Or if I want to buy books, I'm going to get it from Take Along.
See, I think there's certain things maybe that,
Yeah.
you're right about. Apparel, usually we want to fit on.
Yes.
So that's going to be a bit hard.
Yeah.
But I think generally consumables like your phone and I can agree to that. You say you actually can just do it delivered to you and it is what it is.
All right. And then we did Tupperware.
Yes. No, Tupperware we already said, did we not?
Yes. Okay, we did Tupperware. And then number 9 or 10 in between there. And then I spoke about DJ's Boo and his stunt that he pulled a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
Where he just dangled the $200 at the guy and then took it off.
Yes. Episode 10 was actually Destiny Magazine.
Destiny Mag.
Yes. Destiny Mag and wait, what did I talk about?
Yeah. Exactly. Right. So Destiny Mag, the whole print publishing physical
Yes.
fizzling out. Right? Slowly fizzling out. Eventually Destiny Mag had to close doors because people are no longer buying magazines like they used to before. Right? And then, those are the ones I can think about.
Wait, I'll tell you exactly what I spoke about. Yeah, we've done so many episodes.
Oh, no, you spoke about Enron.
Enron was with DJ Spoo.
Yes.
And then with Destiny Magazine, I spoke about, what was it, Doc? It was, I'll tell you now.
You're getting old.
Yo, Doc,
Getting old.
it's end of the year. It's fatigue.
Yeah.
It was about,
Yeah.
what was it, Doc?
All right. I think maybe you'll think about it.
Yes. And we'll come back to it.
We'll
yes.
come back to it. So, okay. From now, what key lessons came out? Right?
So which blunders first and foremost?
So I think for me, the blunder that there's a couple of blunders that stood out, right? I think for me, the Christopher Foster one is a sad one.
Yeah.
He killed everybody. And I think what I've seen happen most of the time is because so there's this thing about people not wanting to downgrade. So they build this business, they move up in the hierarchy, and something wrong happens, which in business something wrong will happen.
100%.
It's guaranteed.
It's
gonna happen.
inevitable.
And then you have to come down. You have to downgrade. You have to let go of the car, let go of the house. There is, unfortunately, this clinging on to things when they are not necessarily sustainable anymore. The money's not coming in. You need to take your kids out of private school, take them to a public school. You need to move from a German sedan to a small Japanese or Chinese sedan.
Yeah.
But the mindset of letting go and going back home or restarting is always the most difficult thing for entrepreneurs.
That's
very difficult. It's something that people would do whatever it takes, kicking and screaming, not to do, to avoid downgrading. I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs. I've been part of it at some point. I had to downgrade, start from scratch. Depressing. A lot of entrepreneurs, they will lose everything. They will sell their house, sell furniture, everything just to make rent so that I don't go back home. Because if I go back home, I'm going to be seen as a failure. People are going to laugh at me, stigma, whatever. And because I'm avoiding that, I'd rather say, but ultimately, your ego has got the best of you.
Yes,
Right.
ego is the enemy.
Ego is the enemy. And as a result, Christopher Foster could not see himself going back.
So what we're saying there, Doc, is see yourself where you are and decide for yourself before someone else decides for you or a situation decides for you to say, listen, it is what it is. I'm humbling myself to go back down and go downgrade just so that I can move forward again.
Yeah.
Because you can never stay down forever.
Yeah. And that process, the thing with this process of downgrading and going back because you failed is like you're gonna make some money.
Yeah.
You're going to come back, you're gonna start rebuilding, you're gonna start making money. And the thing, when you come back and you make money, you know what the funny part is with that? You don't have the hunger or the appetite for material things anymore.
That's true. Because you're humbled.
Because you're humbled.
Yeah.
The money that you make, you don't even look at it as I'm trying to catch up. I'm going to buy that car again. I'm going to buy that house. That appetite is gone.
Well, unless you really and I get what you mean, Doc. There's just some people though that ego has always been the enemy for them, and they just don't learn.
Yes, but those ones then don't go back.
Yes,
they'd rather die.
Yes, that's true.
Right, but once you have been broke and broken by failure, right, thoroughly, and you remake the money, you don't have that appetite to go and buy those material things.
Yes.
It's as if you are being reintroduced to the new you.
Yes.
And this new you does not have appetite for. So money that you get, you don't want to use it to splash. You want to use it for purpose. You want to use it as security. You want to be able to use it for something that is going to give you the freedom.
It actually reminds
not to worry about money anymore.
It actually reminds me of, and we spoke about it with one of the episodes. I think we were talking about when we were talking about the what's the foreigners mentality, not the foreigners, but the immigrants mentality, right? And how when an immigrant comes into a new area, they don't have a choice but to make it or die. And in that, they are so humbled because where they come from, maybe things used to be good, but things then turned to, it turned for the worse.
There are refugees running away from war, starvation, and all this kind of thing.
And because of that, everything that they do it calculating to say, okay, if something again was to happen where I am now, will I still have enough to move back or to sustain myself, not like how I was comfortable there. So what it actually does is it takes out the comfort of, oh, every day is just a nice day. You know what I mean? Like, oh, no, tomorrow I'll get paid. You know, I know I've got my salary, it's there. To listen, every cent counts. Hey, that coffee, I'd rather make coffee, read coffee at home. A coffee's coffee, woke me up. And things like that, where taste, for instance, doesn't become a thing. You going to buy a 100 Rand shirt versus a 2,000 Rand shirt, it doesn't mean anything because a 100 Rand shirt is still a shirt that people can actually wear. So it brings that, you almost, it's ingrained in you to say, yes, I never want to go back there. So that taste of nice life we were talking about earlier is not there anymore because it can't be there, or else if something was to happen again, hey, that's going to happen. Yeah. Okay, now I get you.
Awesome. So for you?
Before I say, it was Polaroid that I spoke about. Yes, and how that there has been quite a lot of them, Doc, that we've read. I mean, we've mentioned people that pride that made people fail. We've mentioned non-innovation that make people fail. We've mentioned there's quite a lot, but the one that actually stands out, and funny enough, it's one that you did, and it's the one you did last week on DJ's Boo, around not counting the cost of doing something, thinking that you are right. I mean, everybody obviously, when whatever you do, you're always thinking for yourself, and you never think of other people and what would feel, whatever. But one of the biggest blunders,
the hustle culture.
The hustle culture, you know, the hustle culture. So one of the things for me that one of the biggest blunders that I see, and I really want people to to not get trapped in, is the fact that what I'm doing is for me, And instead of thinking in that differently, to say, okay, what I'm doing now is for the future, meaning I don't, whatever I'm doing, I'm not doing it as if it's only for me. I'm thinking through certain things and then coming back and say, I've calculated what this might cost, and I'm going to move forward.
So it's sort of like adopt a long-term view.
Yes. I've been listening to this it's a 3.5 hour podcast on IKEA, and how
Is it by Joe Rogan?
no, not Joe
Rogan
Rogan.
is known for those type of 3-hour podcasts.
It's who was it? It's these guys called I forgot their names, but it's
Lex
this for,
Friedman? Not Lex.
no, that's not Lex. It's these two guys. I'll tell you exactly who they are, because I've got the podcast open. But what they talk about with the founder of IKEA, he always thought about IKEA as he thinks about IKEA first, then everything after. Meaning, what can IKEA do for IKEA to still be here in 5 generations of my family, kind of thing.
So the business model of IKEA, unlike other furniture businesses, is the traditional approach to traditional furniture businesses is we manufacture furniture and we distribute it to the customer.
Yes.
What Ingev Kamprad did, the founder of IKEA, is he said, no, we don't do that. We invite the customers in and they design the furniture they want. And we help deliver it to them, right? So it might sound like it's the same thing. It's not the same thing.
It's not.
Because if I have the freedom to design what I want, right, it empowers me as the customer.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm able to put the colors, I'm able to do this, and you do it for me. It's more like you are able to design your own pizza, for instance, right? And you have that freedom to do that.
Yes.
And I think it's the difference between the hustler mentality. Because the hustler mentality is, I am pushing this thing to you. Buy.
True.
Right? And Jobs has said it's quite a lot to say, it starts with the customer, understanding the customer, and then reverse engineering to the product.
Yes.
Right? And that's what Kamprad did. What does the customer want? Design it. We'll put it together for you.
Yeah. I think one of the things that they mentioned, especially and going back to the hustler's mentality in that sense, where hustler's mentality is, I need to get what I need to get now. You know? And what he was doing, I think it's profound, dog, so profound. But at the end of, when he was in his 60s, in his 50s, he thought to himself, okay, how is this company going to outlive me by 5 generations?
Wow.
Right? And he said, okay, I have 3 sons, and amongst those 3 sons, I never want any of them to be the reason IKEA fails. Because you don't know what you don't know as a founder, right? Or as an entrepreneur. And he said, okay, now, and also on top of that, he doesn't want management of some sort to also do that. So he split the company in 2, and one became a foundation, and the other one became physical. So they talk about intellectual and physical companies. The intellectual company is the one that has the IP, the know-how, the everything. And that's the foundation. And then the physical one is they become a franchisee model, where they franchise from the intellectual property and they own the stores. But all the intellectual property, all the designs, all the catalogs, all that happens with the foundation. And they only take a 3% gross revenue. And that for me was someone that thought, he's not thinking hustler's mentality. He's thinking, how can this company still do what it needs to do without people disturbing it, without people fiddling too much within it? And that for me is the difference between someone that is thinking long term and someone that actually does what they need to do now, so that in the future the company still maintains the quality, the scalability. IKEA only has 475 stores, and yet it is one of the biggest furniture stores in the world. In fact, if not the biggest. You know, in fact, IKEA is the seventh biggest fast food or restaurant as well in the world.
Wow.
Franchise, because they have this thing of, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it's so brilliant what this guy built, because they have they have hot dog stands. They have that whole with Costco as well. The whole $1, $1.50 for a hot dog and a cool drink. And the whole thing is, the reason they're able to keep prices low and everything is the way he's designed IKEA to be. And the way any IKEA that needs to open has this, he has the I think it's like 10 laws of IKEA. They call it the 10 laws of IKEA. It's on their website as well. And that actually shows exactly what each IKEA must have. It's a must. If you want to open an IKEA, these are the things that you have to think of. And things like the spend in your in the IKEA, the location of the IKEA, the kind of people that work for IKEA. So things like that. Now, hustlers don't necessarily only think about things like that, right? Hustlers, and yes, we do get a different type of hustler. There's a hustler like Elon Musk that actually gets things done at a big scale, but there's hustlers that are, not to say they come in, but they do not innovate. And that, for me, are not the people that you mustn't have that kind of mentality, because that is a failing. You will constantly fail because you're thinking about yourself and what you're doing. So I think out of this whole season, that for me actually stood out, Doc.
Okay, interesting.
Yes.
Lessons, adaptability.
Yes.
In most of the stories, adaptability is key. You snooze, you lose. You know, you need to know where the next bounce of the ball is going to be,
Yes.
and you move in that direction. Having a strong business strategy,
Yes.
Understanding how you're gonna make money from this thing, and also financial discipline.
Yes.
Maybe manage your costs, your expenses.
Yeah.
Don't try. I don't know how you tame that, but
Patience, Doc.
yeah. I always refer back to Warren Buffett. Keep your personal costs steady
Yes.
as your business
Yes.
grows. Of course, greed, ethics, integrity,
Culture.
greed, culture, and customer focused, customer obsessed. Understand what the customer wants, not what you want, but what the customer. It talks to your hustler mentality.
Just on that, Doc, and maybe just the one before this, around especially culture. One of the big lessons I learned, obviously doing the culture one, I think it was on last week's one as well, was how, again, it just reminded me of how a company takes the form of its founders. And you as an owner, as an entrepreneur, think to yourself, would you want to work for you? Because ultimately, if you actually self-reflect and realize that, listen, I can't work for myself, then how do you think the rest of the people are feeling?
Yeah.
And how do you think then that the culture is going to influence the culture of the whole organization? Toxicity and everything might even creep in.
I mean, it's the whole thing when I talk to entrepreneurs to say, for some reason, entrepreneurs have this disconnect. So they think because I'm disorganized as a person, the business will be organized. How? If you are always rocking up late as a person,
That's true.
there's a chance that the business will always submit things late.
Yes.
If you massage the
And I like what
book,
you're saying, there's a chance.
yeah. If you always are the ones who's cutting corners, the business is going to cut corners.
Yes.
If you are the one who's always underpaying SARS and you massage the books and everybody's watching, there's a chance that your employees are gonna do the same to the business because they are looking and they are seeing.
Yeah.
This is the culture. This is how we do things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? This is what we've always done. It's who we
just
are.
you are doing it to others. We are doing it to you. So why should you be surprised, right? So culture is very powerful. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't look at.
They missed the ball on that one. Yeah.
I think overconfidence as well.
Yes.
Overconfidence can also be,
Yes.
a huge,
Stumbling block.
And I think for me, in all these things, is always learn from others.
Doc,
Other blunders, your blunders, Yeah.
How do you know if you're overconfident?
So overconfidence has got a you personally you won't know. Personally, you won't know.
Yes.
And I think how you dilute your overconfidence is surrounding yourself with people who are not going to be afraid to tell you you are delusional.
Yes.
Right?
Delulu.
We spoke about the Shamrock theory. Surround yourself with people who are ahead of you. Surround yourself with people who are behind you. Surround yourself with your peers. They have a way. Those who are ahead of you, they'll tell you, slow down. It's not done this way.
Yeah.
When you are mentoring those who are behind you, as you listen to yourself speak, you can even tell you're not making sense.
Yeah.
You know,
What are you
it's when you talk to others, you realize this doesn't add up.
Yeah.
Right? And you surround yourself with your peers. But ultimately, it's always overconfidence is one of the. So the problem with overconfidence is it's not a problem of people who are underskilled. It's always a problem with professionals. Elon Musk.
But in fact, that's exactly what I was thinking when I'm saying, how do you know you're overconfident? Because Elon Musk is intelligent, right? But to some extent, the man is confident.
Yes.
Like, I wouldn't say over because we haven't seen him fail per se.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he would even know when he's gonna fail or not.
I don't think he does, but I think he's overconfident, but he's done his research. He surrounds himself with smart people.
Okay. So at least he has a
Yeah.
point where
He's not-
and you're right. In the book, they actually do mention that there were certain people, obviously, that was able to, because he knows first principle, he does everything from a first principle point of view. He knows what can and cannot have, meaning he's confident in the first principle.
Yeah.
And in the calculated risk around the first principle. I get you, Doc.
Yeah, is that the pod?
That is the pod. And that is, we could go on forever, but I'd rather not. We want the guys to miss us. And yeah, Doc, I think that's the pod. And that's it from the season.
I think the message that I want to come out there is
Okay, yes.
you'll fail. You're going to fail. You're going to blunder. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to, sometimes you not even make mistakes. Things will just shift on you, right? And you find yourself, with a business, a non-existent business that, you built and then.
True.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's part of the journey.
Yeah.
It's not a question of if, it's a question of when it happens.
Sure.
There's no shame in it. Wear it like a badge of honor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Don't allow others to actually paint you as a failure, and that's who you are.
Look, we can do thousands and thousands and thousands of other stories.
Yes. Which we will do.
Which we will do, of failure. Failure is not something to shy about, but it's something to embrace and, pick yourself up, lift your head,
Yeah.
painful as it is, and face the world and move forward.
Yeah. That's good, Doc.
That's the pod.
That is the pod. And
Plans for the week, Christmas? Are you going away?
we'll be going away to family, Doc. And
Hey, you people from Limpopo, that's
I
not
must
holiday, man. That's not a
know, it's
holiday.
Those bananas.
That's not a holiday.
Doc,
I refuse.
That is holiday. It's not much home.
Think about we live here. You go to your place now and you say you're going on holiday. No.
What's holiday, Doc? Cape Town.
I don't know. Anywhere else except home. Except home. All right.
Anyway,
Yeah, so it's gonna be a lazy one for you.
It's a lazy one. Okay, no, not necessarily lazy, but yes, it will be, Doc.
Okay.
And your side?
I'm around. Home is here.
Yeah.
So I've done a lot of travels this year. So I
Sure,
think
Jet Sarah.
I think I've done enough carbon emission, carbon footprint. So I think I will try and dilute it by staying at home.
Makes sense, Doc.
Yeah.
Makes it to go take a walk.
Yes. I think that's what I'll do.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you very much,
We'll
everyone.
resume again in Jan.
It will be in Jan.
Yeah, and there's more coming.
Yes, much more with more things happening, new ideas that we're coming up with.
Guests.
And which is one of them.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to hear what our guests actually have. Some of the guests that
Can I tell you what story I'm looking forward to?
What, Doc?
Mom Kizi.
But Doc, she hasn't failed.
They started raiding her house now. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, yesterday or the day before.
Evan.
Not that I'm looking forward to the demise, but I think there's a lot of mistakes that she's made. A lot of mistakes.
True, true.
You know,
I'm sure they're gonna take things on auction, Doc.
let's wait and see, because the soccer thing, it's bombing out. FIFA fined her; she can't buy players until she has paid one of these players, and she doesn't want to pay that player.
Right.
It sounds ego, right? It sounds like they've banned. She can't sign new players. There's a whole thing about she got a sponsor from a municipality that's bankrupt.
Yes.
There's a whole thing about changing government, and those who were giving her this project
Yes, I'm not giving her anymore.
are no longer in power, or if they are,
Doc,
but
that one. I was actually speaking to someone about. Yeah, Doc, we'll never finish. Let's finish now.
Yeah.
But I spoke to someone. spoke to someone recently, as in a few days back, and we were talking about how, especially this tender game, that is one of the biggest blunders anyone could ever do, where you rely on tenders. Because the problem with relying on tenders is, and usually people are given tenders within. Usually what happens is the power changes. That tender, I mean, we're seeing it in Botswana now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people panicking in Botswana because all those people that used to have the power are now out.
Today's Namibia's elections. It's going to be interesting to see stories that are coming out there. Same story happened with Russia and the oligarchs.
Yes, when they went power into power.
When power changed,
Yeah.
when they got sanctioned, Chelsea attached, and
My team.
Abramovich had to
But we're still
leave.
better than Man United, so it's fine. So thank you very much, everyone. Like, subscribe, and comment. And we'll see you next time.
Happy Merry what and happy what.
Yes, Happy New Year, Happy Merry Christmas,
Yes.
and see you next year.
See you next year, guys.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.